You're listening to Luke's English Podcast. For more information, visit teacherluke.co.uk. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Here is one more episode of Film Club dedicated to the ridiculous new Star Wars film, The Rise of Skywalker, which my brother James and I recently enjoyed watching at a cinema in Birmingham. This is a mammoth holiday season mega ramble with James about Star Wars Episode 9. Of course, if the Star Wars films don't interest you, then this might not be your cup of tea, and I totally understand. Normal podcasting will be resumed shortly, I promise. I have at least 3 other episodes in the pipeline that I recorded with members of my family this Christmas. I'm sticking this Star Wars one online now, to be followed by plenty of other normal episodes afterwards and the usual audio and video content for premium subscribers. But for those of you who have seen The Rise of Skywalker and would like to listen to a funny conversation with my brother as we have a beer and go through the plot of the film with plenty of little jokes, criticisms and details that we liked, if you're up for it, I think you'll enjoy this one with a few potential laugh out loud on the bus moments. Of course, there will be full spoilers throughout this episode as we talk about all the details of the plot, so watch out if you haven't seen the film. So we talk about the film's plot and make all the comments that we have about what happens, but we also talk about some big Star Wars questions which this film raises. For example, is Luke Skywalker actually a virgin? Is Luke Skywalker a virgin? Who would actually consent to have sex with Emperor Palpatine? And when did that happen? What happens when a Force-sensitive Jedi has an orgasm? Could it be a dangerous moment? I don't know, like a Forcegasm or something. And is that why the Jedi follow a strict code of celibacy? And why is everything in the Star Wars universe made of such highly explosive material? Why does everything explode when it crashes into other things? Can droids hack into anything? Where's the cybersecurity in this universe? Why does a fat pilot die in a space battle at the end of every film? And if the Force will be with you always, why do they also have to say, "May the Force be with you"? So those questions. Also, I should point out that there is some swearing in this episode and some generally rude language at times. So you might want to bear that in mind if you're listening to this with children or the swearing intolerant. So those of you who are still here, I assume that you'd like to listen to us rambling on about this final Star Wars episode. This might be the final Star Wars episode ever on this podcast, certainly for a while. But I might want to talk about The Mandalorian when it's available where I live. But since this is kind of the end of a 9-part series, there might be less Star Wars in the future. Part of me thinks, actually, that it's a bit excessive to upload even more content about Star Wars, but I actually think this conversation is much better than episode 633, which was my immediate reaction to seeing the film. Frustratingly, in that episode, I struggled to talk about it because I couldn't remember the complex details of the plot. I'm afraid you may have listened to me umming and ahhing as I went through the plot of the film. I also missed a few points and generally struggled to be coherent about this film, partly because the film itself isn't very coherent. But this conversation with James is worth a listen, in my opinion. Star Wars can be quite a funny topic with plenty of opportunities for voices, sketches and jokes. We recorded it in my dad's office, in their house, in the evening, a few days after Christmas. It's a long conversation, but I reckon it's worth a listen. I would say, if I was learning French, which I am actually doing, but I would say that I would like to listen to a couple of people discussing The Rise of Skywalker in French while defining little phrases and other points as they went along. That would be right up my street and would definitely be a good way to do some focused listening and language study. If only that podcast existed out there for French learners. Why is nobody doing that? Hey, French Lepsters, where is Le Podcast Français de Jean-Pierre, for example? Where's the French version of Luke's English Podcast? Anyway, hopefully this final Star Wars episode will be a step up from the last one and a genuinely enjoyable and useful thing for you to listen to. Again, spoiler alert, full spoilers for the film. Let's carry on now. Oh yeah, and Happy New Year again. All right, James. So, do you want to talk about Star Wars?
Yeah, let's.
So I'm feeling a little bit, I don't know how to say it, slightly stressed, which is a weird feeling.
Why?
Shouldn't be, because it's Christmas.
Why
I'm
are you
on
feeling
holiday.
stressed?
I was feeling stressed about doing a third Star Wars episode in a row on the podcast.
That is a bit excessive.
Little bit. But it's sort of become a tradition, actually.
3.
Not necessarily to do 3, but to talk about Star Wars a lot around Christmas time.
Okay, let's just not worry about it and crack on.
Let's crack on.
Get Star Wars done.
That is a phrase or verb that I keep hearing so much these days. Let's crack on.
It's kind of corporate business speak, I
think so?
to some extent.
It's the sort of thing you hear people saying at work. I mean, let's crack on. It's just another way of saying let's continue.
It's a way of saying, can you go away now?
Go away.
Because I'm gonna crack on. So I'll just crack on. Good meeting. I'll crack on. I'll catch up with you later.
Meaning, go away and let me do my work. And you can go away and do some work too. But I feel like it's just a crack on. It's just it sounds kind of like cool, like kind of a slightly more fun, less threatening word than continue.
Yeah, it's kind of like implies, you're going to kind of knuckle down, roll up your sleeves.
Hard work,
but in a focused, business type way.
and an informal kind of way as well, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I
Come
suppose
on,
it
let's
is.
crack on. So that's exactly what we're going to do here, crack on. I don't need to justify myself, do I? After 10, nearly 11 years of doing this.
Luke, relax.
Okay.
It's fine.
Trust your feelings. Luke, trust your feelings. Stretch out with your feelings, Luke. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I need the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi in my ear. Luke, you've switched off your targeting computer. What's wrong? Nothing. I'm all right. Use the Force, Luke. Okay. So, but I'm not very happy with the last episode I did, which was episode 633.
To be honest, I started listening to one of the episodes. I think the first one, expecting to get some spoilers.
You started listening to
one of yours.
632.
Yeah, and I got about 5 minutes in it, and then you dropped the bombshell. I haven't actually seen it yet, and I was just like, what?
But, so do you think I've titled the episode wrong?
I probably just didn't read it properly.
I should have written preview in big letters.
Or guesswork.
Speculation. I should have written speculation and speculations and expectations is what I should have called it. And then the
big reveal or something
like that. But
anyway.
I'm not very happy with episode 633. That's the one where I saw the film, came home, and immediately decided to ramble about it. But it was incoherent. I couldn't remember what had happened in the film. So we saw it today, this afternoon. So do you remember all the details?
Not really, no.
If I asked you to... Yeah. If I asked
please don't ask me to summarise the plot.
If I asked you to summarise the plot, would you be able to do it?
Vaguely. I'd probably miss out a few sort of unnecessary plot points.
I think there'd be quite a lot of umming and ahhing after about the first 15 minutes of the film.
Umming and ahhing, right? Why you say that?
Umming and ahhing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that phrase.
Why do some people say humming and hawing? H-A-W.
Wait, humming and hawing. H-U-M-M-I-N-G.
I-N-G and H-A-W-I-N-G.
Whoring. But it sounds like whoring, like sort of...
Yeah, I'm not trying to say
prostitution.
Yeah.
But humming and whoring. It's just another...
Sharon Osbourne did it on telly the other night. She was on a game show type thing, panel show, and she said... We were humming and hawing about it, and I just thought, hang on, isn't it humming and ahhing? Or is it...
I think humming
both accepted.
Humming and whoring is also another one, but it does sound like you were whoring.
Well, I wasn't meaning it like that. It just more caught my attention because it was just different.
Yeah, normally it's umming and ahhing, meaning...
There it is. Luke's Googling it. That.
Normally it's umming and ahhing, but we don't normally go when we're trying to work out what to say, do we? Normally it's right, in English, unless you're from Liverpool, and it's but we don't normally go But anyway, umming and ahhing means making those noises when you're trying to decide what to do. But some people say humming and hawing. Procrastinate, take a long time before doing something or taking a decision. It's just another
version of that.
Yeah. Anyway, so there would probably be a lot of umming and ahhing or humming and...
I wouldn't say humming and hawing.
whoring. Whoring does sound like you're a pimp, and it's a rather distasteful direction for the episode to go in already.
I agree.
So, umming and ahhing. All right, so anyway, we saw it this afternoon.
Yes.
Second time for me because I'm a geek.
Bit of a mission getting to the cinema. The train was cancelled, and I was immediately like, right, sod it, let's just go home.
you gave up very quickly.
I gave up immediately.
Yeah.
But then you stuck with it, looked at options, found a cinema, then found out it was a children's screening, which we thought was a bit weird.
Well, it was one of those babies and toddlers screenings, which is basically when it's for the parents, so parents can go to the cinema and they can bring their little ones, but it's not for the little ones to watch.
But it's accepted there'll be some baby noise.
There'll be noise and general baby type stuff going on in the cinema, but I wouldn't bring a toddler to see this film.
No way. Not unless you want them to have nightmares.
It's quite a lot of peril and threat.
And just loud noises generally. And
flashing and banging and...
scary stuff.
Some scary things.
Quite a lot of scary bits towards the end.
I think it's quite scary.
Scary for a child. I wasn't scared, of course.
No. Did you feel emotions during the film? I should just point out at this moment that we didn't end up going to the children's screening of the film, so there were no crying babies and screaming and all those other things. In fact, we went to the Everyman Theatre cinema at the Mailbox in central Birmingham, a very nice plush space with a sort of modern bar. They serve you beer so you can take in. They have little tables where you can put the beer, and you sit on these comfortable sofas in the cinema. It's very kind of cool. And then we watched the film there. So no children, thankfully, just very comfortable surroundings to enjoy this ridiculous film. Did you feel emotions during the film?
Vaguely. More just cheap nostalgia more than anything else. That sort of touches the nostalgia buttons, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What flavour of nostalgia? Can you just specify?
The Star Warsy flavour, indefinable Star Warsy.
That plastic smell of Star Wars figures from when you were 7 years old. Yeah.
I wouldn't put it like that, but maybe you're onto something.
Just the memories of childhood and growing up, and just the general feel, the sounds.
It's like
of
being
Star
in a
Wars.
World that a fantasy world that you've grown up with.
Yeah,
I suppose you could say.
And the new Star Wars films do have that sort of sense of...
Yeah, they've made an effort after that initial prequel, terrible debacle. They made sure in the newer ones to add in a lot of Star Warsy stuff, just to get the geeks happy.
Well, a lot of people call that fan service, which is where they just include references to the old films just to make the fans happy.
Yeah, they've clearly doing a lot of that.
I'm all right with it. I like to be happy.
I'd rather that than they just ignore it, like the prequels, and lost all that Star Warsiness and all the kind of... It's almost like the sketchiness of it.
Some of the prequels had Star Warsiness in it. Like some of the blaster sound effects were the same.
Yeah.
And some stuff like that.
But more like when you see a shot with a weird creature in the background that you don't quite get a chance to see properly.
There's a lot of that.
That kind of stuff.
Like when you go, suddenly you arrive on a new planet and the first shot is a shot with like some little creatures.
Some locals.
No, creatures in the foreground.
Yeah, locals.
Kind of going, bleh, 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 and they look at each other, bleh, bleh, and then there's like our heroes on a spaceship landing in the distance, and then there's two little creatures, bleh, bleh, like that.
Yeah, they did that in this one.
There was a lot of that, wasn't there?
Kind of like chinchillas, basically, these things were.
Little green, cross between frogs and small dogs. Yeah. So
is a chinchilla a dog? Chinchilla's like a mouse type thing, isn't it?
Oh God, it's going to be one of those episodes. Chinchilla
for sale is the second option.
I'm googling chinchilla, and the second option is chinchilla for sale. Should we buy one?
Yeah. Look, it's not a dog.
Wait a minute. What is a chinchilla? Don't show me like. Everything you need to know about chinchillas, like first of all how to buy one, but I want to know what it is first before I buy it. Chinchillas are either of two species.
Rodents.
They're rodents. They're a bit like gerbils or mice or something. So not like dogs at all. But you mean chihuahuas.
You mean chihuahuas.
Anyway, there are little creatures and things in this film, just like in the other ones. So we're talking about the nostalgia. It has that kind of the aesthetic of the original films.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, let's say. Which is nice, isn't it? Really, because that's a large part of the appeal of Star Wars, I think.
Yeah, the sort of attention to detail and the sort of Yeah, the attention to detail.
Mm-hmm. And the attention to detail. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Nice blaster sounds, the kind of dirty universe with the chunky rebel spacecraft and shiny interiors of baddie spacecraft. So what did you think of Star Wars : The Rise of Skywalker? Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
It was good. I enjoyed myself. Enjoyed watching it in the moment.
When you were there in the cinema, you enjoyed it, yeah?
But we've both said it doesn't have that much long-lasting impact. It feels quite forgettable, weirdly.
Well, this is the problem I had in the previous episode, which some of my listeners may have picked up on. I'm scared that people listened to that and thought, he can't explain the plot. I'm going to stop listening to his podcast forever. That's what I was worried about. But yeah, you enjoy it while it's happening, but afterwards, when you sort of reflect on it, it's kind of like, wait a minute, what actually happened in that film? I can't. It's hard to get a grip on it, isn't it? To know really what was going on, and to summarise the plot is a real challenge.
Yeah.
But we're going to try and do that. But it was a kind of a roller coaster sort of theme park ride experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good laugh, good crack.
Hello, hope you're enjoying the episode. Just another little point to be made here. James just said it was good crack. He said the film was good crack. Now, I think it's worth explaining that one. Crack is actually spelt Craic, and it's the Irish word, apparently, according to irishcentral.com, it's the Irish word that confuses outsiders most. So crack, it sounds like C-R-A-C-K, like crack the drug, but it's actually C-R-A-I-C. And crack is like, it's a great expression. It's just a really fantastic expression. It's used by lots of people, but particularly in Ireland. I think it probably originates from Ireland. So crack is basically a term for things like news, gossip, fun, entertainment, enjoyable conversation, and it's particularly prominent in Ireland. It's often used with the definite article, the crack. So it's all about the crack, you know. You know me, I love the crack. And it doesn't mean that you like the drug, although I'm sure that many sort of non-native learners of English, for example, might make that mistake. But also, in fact, Americans, there is one example, I think, of when the World Cup happened in the United States in 1994. An Irish guy was there because Ireland were playing in the World Cup that year, and he was interviewed on American TV, and the guy was like, "So, what do you? Why did you come here?" It's like, "I just came over for the crack," and they were all shocked, but actually he meant I just came over for a good time. So anyway, that's what James meant when he said the film was good crack. It just meant it was a good laugh. Good thrills and spills, and ups and downs, and lots of action, very fast paced. But almost so fast-paced that you're not able to really think about what's going on.
Yeah, I'd agree.
This happens, then this. Okay, whoa, all right.
And
just
there's
accept it.
One too many subplots, it feels like, or one too many little things you have to remember that's going on.
It was a very contrived plot, wasn't it?
It was.
Contrived meaning it didn't feel very natural. There were lots of little things. They've got to do this, then they've got to go there.
The sat-nav thing was a bit crap.
Okay. So should we try and go through the plot? And as we go through it, we'll probably remember details that we want to talk about.
Okay, let's do it that way.
So I'm going to let you try and start. Go on. What happened at the beginning? What does the crawl tell us?
Right, we started with Kylo Ren battling something somewhere. Obviously looking like a samurai or something.
Uh-huh. Why is he battling people?
Because he's... Just to remind you that he's badass.
Uh-huh. He is badass as well.
Apparently.
Don't you think
they keep telling you.
He's got quite a good fighting style.
But to be honest, I didn't know why he was there or what was going on.
Right,
the next shot, I can't remember. It went to the rebels and they were in the Millennium Falcon and they were shouting at each other. And
some funny little quips and banter.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's really hard to explain, but I think I can do it. Because I've done my homework a little bit, and I've seen it twice. So basically, the opening crawl, the yellow letters that crawl through space.
Ghosts speak.
The dead speak.
The dead speak. That was it.
Typically,
terribly badly written.
Really badly written.
Which
again.
I think they've done on purpose.
Those yellow
titles have always been... And they've always been a really bad way to start a film, but for some reason it worked.
But it's like one of those...
news, like real...
Like a
serial shows, the cowboy black and white films they used to show, serialised adventures. Like
Flash Gordon stuff from the 1950s. Yeah. They used to begin like those old American programs where we catch up with our plucky heroes. There's always like a bit of...
show those on BBC Two at like tea time when we were growing up. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And they'd show a new one. And I remember there was one where the guy, and I think this is quite famous, where the guy goes over the cliff on the back of the carriage. And then you're like, oh my God, he's dead. The hero's dead, whoever it was. And then next week you saw him jump off just before it. It was like, he didn't show that last week. Yeah. You can't do that.
But we're talking about serialized adventure shows that were quite popular in America in the 50s, and there were lots of westerns and also science fiction serials, and they had cliffhanger endings and very, very influential. Like George Lucas apparently wanted to do Flash Gordon. He wanted to have the rights to make the film version of Flash Gordon. He couldn't get the rights for it, so he made up his own universe. Yeah, so, I mean, that's the sort of thing he was going for, that kind of swashbuckling adventure stuff.
Yeah, that's the stuff I like, to be honest, in Star Wars, the sort of action-y.
Yeah, those shows, the reason we're saying this is those shows used to begin with a little plot, bit of plot exposition in text that would scroll up the screen explaining to you what the context was so that you could jump straight into the action. And so, yeah, Star Wars does that, as we know. And the crawl, as they call it, because the letters crawl up the screen away from you, basically say that Palpatine is back. We don't know how, really. It's kind of vaguely alluded to maybe something to do with like dark, black science or dark science and cloning or something, but it's not really been fleshed out. And he's back basically, and I mean, he's like, I'm back, and I've got a big fleet of really, really powerful ships. So, be afraid, because I'm going to come and take over the universe again. I don't know why he sends out a broadcast. He sort of tweets like, I'm back, bitches. Hashtag Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, hashtag Palpatine. He lets the universe know that he's back. And Kylo Ren, his motivation at this point is, right, I'm going to stop the Emperor because I want to be the biggest, most powerful bad guy in the universe.
How do you know this?
Because that's in the crawl. It is? Yes, it's explained in the crawl. Shall I bet I can find that.
No, don't bother.
No? Well, okay, just take my word for it. It is written in the crawl at the beginning that Kylo Ren decides he wants to find Palpatine in order to stop him.
Oh, it does, yeah.
Because Kylo wants to be the biggest...
it doesn't say that bit, though, because Kylo wants to be the biggest, best, evil one.
The best bad guy.
Best baddie.
I have to find the opening crawl now.
Spoilers. Recreation spoilers.
Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. The dead speak. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast. A threat of revenge in the sinister voice of the late Emperor Palpatine. He's not late. He's dead. That's what that means. The late Emperor Palpatine means he's dead, but he's not. General Leia Organa dispatches secret agents to gather intelligence, while Rey, the last hope of the Jedi, trains for battle against the diabolical First Order. Diabolical meaning devilish. Evil. Meanwhile, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, because he's now in charge of the First Order, rages in search of the Phantom Emperor, determined to destroy any threat to his power. You see? So Kylo wants to be the biggest bad guy in the universe, and so he decides to find Palpatine in order to stop him. Right? As if he'd be able to, because it's Palpatine. Surely Kylo Ren would be, what? Palpatine's back? Darth Vader's boss? He's back? Oh, shit. That's what I'd be thinking if I was Kylo Ren.
It's hard to really buy it, because who's got the... Okay, so Palpatine has been creating... Should we get onto this later?
No, go ahead, do it now.
Creating all these Star Destroyers.
Yeah, so this is his...
Who's got the commission for Star Destroyers? Kylo Ren or Palpatine?
Who owns the intellectual property?
Who owns the rights? And who's got the plans?
I think it doesn't matter in the Star Wars universe.
So it's open source.
No, it's just that they're bad guys. They just do what they want. I mean, what are you going to do?
But they'd be, sue him for a
You're
start.
going to take Emperor Palpatine to court.
Get a property lawyer, intellectual copyright lawyer.
The guy's got... He's
well, that should be the first assault.
The guy can shoot lightning
not legislation, what do you call it? Litigation.
Take him to court. But, I mean, I'm afraid you didn't pay attention during the prequel films. There was a legal system in place. The rule of law was in place at one point in episodes 1 and 2. I think it's 1 and 2. And then the Emperor is given emergency powers. He's not the Emperor at that point. He's a senator. He's given emergency powers to take control of everything. And of course, he abuses those powers and he turns it into an empire with himself as Emperor, right? So, I'm sorry, the whole idea of taking him to court because he's copied your designs for some spaceships is out of the question now. Because he shoots lightning from his fingers.
Beyond that, right?
The guy shoots lightning out of his fingers.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, a judge isn't going to do much. It's not going to help. Okay, so, yeah, but the Palpatine, he's back and he somehow has got together a huge, massive fleet of Star Destroyers. I don't know how.
Hang on, is this how it opens? Because we're supposed to be going through it in order, aren't we?
Okay, all right. So, Kylo Ren is on Mustafar. Do you know what that is? You don't. I'll cut a long story short.
Element to a bad joke.
Mustafa, better answer than that.
Exactly.
Mustafa, better answer than that. Yeah. So he's on Mustafar, which is an interesting planet because that's where Vader, that's where Obi-Wan and Vader had a big fight in the third film, and that's where Obi-Wan left Vader for dead. At that time, he was Anakin.
Didn't know that.
Chopped his arms and legs off, and it was horrible.
That bit's really grim.
Kids' film.
Yeah.
Anyway, and left him for dead, and the Emperor picked him up, turned him into Darth Vader, and, the rest is history. And also, Vader lived on Mustafar afterwards. He obviously made his home there because he wanted to connect with the evil, just the pure evil of the place. So anyway, Kylo's there, and he's like kicking some ass because he's worked out that there's a Sith GPS thing, which they call a wayfinder on Mustafar, and he's finding it. So you see that in the first couple of minutes of the film. It's a montage of him kicking some ass and finding this wayfinder. All right. Apparently there are two of these in the universe, two wayfinders.
Two plot devices.
Yeah, exactly. The entire film is full of these plot devices. That's why I said it's very contrived. So it's kind of like the heroes have got to go to get this thing, which helps them to get this thing, which helps them to get to this place.
And they look a bit crap as well, don't they? They don't even
GPS things. Like really badly designed. Like it's not going to fit in your pocket very easily. It's not
going to go on the dashboard.
Dashboard of your car.
Can we say dashboard?
Of a car, yeah.
Isn't that the American?
No, dashboard is we say that in UK English too. So, yeah, you can't exactly clip it to your dashboard very easily. But anyway, it's a kind of pyramid, like a sort of, I'm sure there's a word for it, like a pyramid with another pyramid on the bottom.
Looks like one of those little things that you have like a mini pot plant in.
Yeah, like you'd hang a little
mini hanging basket.
But this one doesn't contain a pot plant. It contains
some sort of crystal or
some Sith magic, which
does not explain.
It helps you find where Emperor Palpatine is living, and it's the planet of the Sith.
And sometimes it looks like a little red dots moving around inside it.
Yeah.
Like they're here. It's like, well, what's the scale? Like, what does that mean? A red dot?
Don't ask too many questions. Just go with it. That's the whole vibe of this film, isn't it? Just go with it. Just enjoy it and don't think about it too much. So there are two of these wayfinders that will show you where the Sith planet is. I can't remember what it's called. It's called Exegol, which sounds like a pharmaceutical company, doesn't it? Or an oil company.
Yeah.
Exegol, like a really evil drilling company.
Okay.
So anyway, Exegol is like this big dark planet where the Sith live, and it's in the unknown region. So that's why no one's noticed that Palpatine is back because he's been hiding in the shadows.
Basically, the dark side of the moon.
Sort of like that, yeah. So Kylo has found one of these wayfinders, so he knows where Palpatine is, and then he visits him. He goes to the planet. This is what we see in the first 5 minutes of the film after he's killed a bunch of people in a forest. He gets the wayfinder, connects it to USB or whatever in his car, in his ship, and he flies to Exegol. And it's a difficult route. It's kind of like a really complicated route because you've got to go through like a difficult sort of fire storm thing in space, remember? He's kind of like, turn left here, turn right,
Probably a champagne supernova.
It's something like that. And then, so he gets there and he enters the Sith temple, right on that sort of platform that goes down, and there are big statues of Sith Lords and lightning, right? Remember this? Yeah. You don't remember any of it.
I do remember it. I'm just part of me trying to work out the logic behind it all.
Because he thinks that's where Palpatine is.
But we don't. There's sort of a vague idea that there's loads of people there as well.
Yeah, that's revealed a bit later. But from the whole film, we know that there's some sort of big stadium.
Oh, and there's a.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll come back to the stadium full of.
We've got to sort of.
Guys in hoods.
Speed it up a bit, I reckon.
Yeah, because we'll be here all day. And so anyway, Kylo has got his lightsaber ignited and he's searching, looking for Palpatine. He turns a corner. No, he hears Palpatine's voice going, what is it? He says, "My boy." And then Kylo says, I killed Snoke and I'll kill you too. And then Palpatine says, "You stupid idiot. I made Snoke. And I've been every voice inside your head that you've ever heard." And he says that in the voice of Snoke and then in the voice of Darth Vader.
He's an impressionist.
He's like John Coleshaw.
Steve Coogan.
Yeah. He's an impressionist. Amongst his many powers, the Emperor's also very good at impressions.
And next I'm going to do...
Michael Caine. You were only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. Not my best one, admittedly.
That sounds nothing like Michael Caine. What about Terry Wogan? A nice bit of Wogan to see you through. I've been every voice you've ever heard in your head, ever. And now, the Doobie Brothers.
Yeah. So Palpatine's been impersonating these people in Kylo's head, and including Snoke. So it turns out Snoke was just a puppet that Palpatine was using in order to lure Kylo to the dark side and to establish the First Order as an evil power in the universe. I don't know why he needed to do that. Why did he need a puppet? He could have just done it himself, surely. Speculation now. This is where we have fun speculating and filling in the blanks.
And I always thought that other baddie guy, whatever his name was,
Supreme Leader Snoke
was a bit weird anyway, because who's the next one up? And it felt like the Emperor's gone, but there's this new guy who's even more scary. And then up above from him, there's going to be another guy that's even bigger. And they've obviously realised that's the way it's going and thought, we can't go another level up now.
There's always a bigger fish. That's from episode 1.
We've got to go back to the original guy, because otherwise it'll be really ridiculous.
I don't know. They're
like, fuck, we'd have to just bring the Emperor back to life.
And remember...
Because otherwise it'll be yet another baddie. And I thought Snoke was one too many baddies, really.
Yeah, well, no one knew what to do with Snoke, did they? They didn't know what to do with him.
Who is he? What the fuck? Is he a hologram?
No one knows. Like, even the writers of the film don't know.
Yeah.
So they got rid of him in the second episode, or Rian Johnson, and the guy who did the second episode, just got rid of him because he didn't know what to do with him. But I thought that was quite cool, the way they chopped him in half in the second film. But anyway, it turns out that Palpatine has just been cloning Snokes. So Kylo turns a corner and he sees a big jar, and there's like 3 or 4 Snokes in there.
Pickled.
What was that jar? Was that just like a Snoke production jar?
Yeah.
They're just growing Snokes in there.
They can just make anything they want now.
Yeah, just infinite Snokes.
Infinite baddies, infinite spaceships. But
all because of Palpatine and his supreme dark side power.
Yeah.
That he's just been able to use. I don't know how he survived being thrown into the lift shaft of the Death Star, apparently vaporizing in an explosion at the bottom, and then the Death Star exploded in a massive cloud of stardust. So I don't know how he survived. What did he do? He landed at the bottom and then just ran away, got in a spaceship, and I know, I'll go to the unknown regions, just lay low for a while, 50, 60 years or something, and just use the dark side to just create spaceships.
It's not great, story-wise.
And he reveals to Kylo Ren that he's built a huge fleet of Star Destroyers. And then what happens? Do you remember how we see the Star Destroyers?
Oh, they come out of the ground.
They just rise out of the ground.
Which looks kind of cool, but then you think, well, why were they in the ground? Did they just grow them like vegetables, like weird
potatoes?
They just grow, or did they build them above ground and then meticulously take all the scaffolding down and bury them just to do something cool with them later?
Just to reveal them to Kylo Ren later.
Like what? And where do they get all the minerals and ores from? And essential
oils,
elements. Essential oil.
you need a lot of raw materials to make
black pepper. That's my favourite essential oil.
Is it?
Yeah,
I'm fond of tea tree oil myself.
Well, has many uses.
Yes,
has many uses,
which some may consider unnatural. Tea tree oil. It's good for your skin, apparently. Antifungal. Anyway. Eucalyptus is nice too. Anyway, so yes, it requires a lot of what do you call them? Raw materials to build a huge fleet of hundreds of Star Destroyers. So God knows how he's done it.
Where's the workforce?
Well, they're
just cloning them.
Yeah, maybe.
Just clone them all, then just chuck them in the bin when you finish with them.
Yeah,
I suppose
cloning them.
But clone labour's been proven to be a bit shoddy, hasn't it?
Cloned labour.
Cloned labour.
Well, we had clones in the prequel trilogy, didn't we?
And they remember. Does that explain why the stormtroopers are all rubbish?
Well, it's not clear really if the stormtroopers are clones.
They're really crap, aren't they? They always have been.
Yeah, rubbish, terrible.
Can't shoot.
Even worse,
fall over really easily and just
bang their heads all the time.
Yeah.
No, we don't know if the stormtroopers from Star Wars are clones or if they're enlisted.
We still don't know that.
Well, in
Poe, is that his name? Poe? Is that one? The one that used to be a stormtrooper?
Finn is the one that used to be a stormtrooper.
Sorry.
So, because we know from the sequel trilogy that the stormtroopers are kind of enlisted from kind of like ghettos in the world, right? Like orphans and stuff,
right?
Are enlisted into the First Order because like these kids have got no other choice, sort of thing. And so they're kind of almost like slavery level employees of the First Order who are brainwashed and enlisted in. But some of them break away from their brainwashing and leave, sort of like Finn. And this other girl, Janna, who we see later in the film, used to be a stormtrooper too. But that's it. That's her character. I used to be a stormtrooper.
Cool.
Okay. And now I'm an awesome girl on a horse, which is pretty cool. No? You don't like the horses?
I liked them, but whether they fitted in the Star Wars world, I'm not entirely sure.
Riding horses on a Star Destroyer.
In a probably breathable atmosphere?
Well, if that planet, right, Exegol...
I didn't see much greenery there. Where's the oxygen and, CO... Well, we know where the CO2...
Oxygen, basically, is the
where's the
one.
oxygen coming from?
That planet, if that's produced all those Star Destroyers, there must be a lot of quite poisonous minerals in the atmosphere. So, anyway, I don't know how Palpatine is back, but he is. And he says to Kylo Ren, look, I'm back, okay? And, you're going to be really powerful because you'll be the next Emperor or something. But we need to get rid of Rey. Because she's been training as a Jedi, and we need to stop the Jedi. She's the last Jedi. You need to kill her. So he says to Kylo, "Fuck off and kill Rey." Okay.
Then it cuts to Rey training,
and then we see Rey training.
She's frustrated because she hasn't quite got the hang of the Force. Although she's pretty good.
She's trying to connect with the with the previous Jedi, isn't she? She's trying to reach out to them. She's like saying, "Be with me, be with me." She's trying to connect with the old Jedi. They're not appearing to, because I was hoping for sort of training montages with all of these Force ghosts.
There was quite a bit of training where she had that stupid little ball thing that fires lasers at your ass.
Yeah.
And then she smashed it with a stick in the end.
Yeah.
Which seemed a bit unnecessary.
But that's interesting. I mean,
like your PlayStation Wii or your Nintendo Wii, and you just got a bit frustrated and smashed it.
Well, she's trying to stop it with a lightsaber. It's like, it's weird. Rey's powers sort of fluctuate, don't they? Sometimes she's just amazing and she can do anything, and other times she's rubbish. Like if she's fighting against the most powerful bad guy in the universe, she's actually very strong and equal to him. If she's fighting against a floating orb with about 128k of RAM in it, probably a very basic bit of technology, she can't fight against it. So what's going on with that? I don't understand what that is about.
Why don't the enemy just get loads of those things?
Yeah, just get a really big one of them.
But with a big gun on it. Yeah. Send that in, 10 seconds later, you're finished.
You kill Rey and, exactly, just get loads of those little training droids and Bob's your uncle.
So we've got an idea. Maybe someone did and it was dismissed for being too ridiculous. These training droids.
They're very effective.
Fuck off with your training droids. I've got a Death Star here.
Not big and evil enough. or the bad guys are like, if only we could get our hands on that training droid technology that the rebels have got, sir.
Unfortunately, it's completely obsolete. There's only one example of it, and she just smashed it with a stick. We're fine.
So she's frustrated trying to do her training. But in the meantime, Poe and Finn and Tinky Winky and Lala and the other Teletubbies have been sent by Leia to get some intel from like a little gribbly gremlin type guy who shows his face at one point. He throws them down like a USB cable and they download some files from him.
And don't they chuck his head on a table later as well?
The bad guys catch this guy and chuck his head on a table at some point,
That's a bit nasty.
And again, toddlers and babies, though, welcome for the 12:30 showing.
Welcome.
Yeah. So Finn and Poe have got some intelligence from this green guy, and the intelligence basically says, so Palpatine is on Exegol, right? But then they're like,
is that a new drug?
That's why he's managed. That's why he's still alive.
He's on Exegol.
Some very powerful Exegol. No, that's the planet that he's living on. So it's like Palpatine's on Exegol, and they're like, right, we've got to find Exegol. And, is anyone who can help us? And Leia says, I know someone on this desert planet. Go down there, meet up with him. He might be able to help you. So they go down onto the desert planet, blah, blah, blah. It's like a big party with fireworks and people dancing and stuff, right? Remember that?
Yeah. I was kind of not entirely convinced by that.
Yeah.
Don't really want to see Star Wars at the Big Chill Festival.
Yeah.
Mixmaster Morris is there doing a 2-hour ambient set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like Coachella or the Burning Man Festival or something like that. Yeah, and there's all these kind of locals dancing and having fun and stuff. And then the Kylo manages to find out where they are, and he sends troops to get them. And Lando Calrissian helps them out, so he's their contact, and he says to them, "Look, guys." I think I might be able to help you because I was hanging out with Luke Skywalker before these movies were made.
Did you like seeing Lando?
Yeah.
You weren't overcome with emotion.
It was all right.
Yeah.
It was fine.
He was fine.
Yeah. Lando says, okay, so I was working with Luke because Luke was trying to find the location of the Emperor as well, which means, what, Luke knew where the Emperor was? Even during the last movie, he knew it. He didn't say. That's kind of a big thing.
That is another slight hole.
Yeah, big problem. But anyway, apparently Luke was also trying to find the Emperor too. And this is where it gets complicated. And so Lando said, look, there was this Jedi hunter who we were trying to track down because apparently he might have known where the GPS thing, the second GPS thing was. So anyway, they were hunting this Jedi hunter in order to try and eventually find the location of the Emperor, I think, or the Sith planet at least. And so they're like, maybe you can search his ship, which I believe is parked in the desert somewhere. That might help. So they're like, okay, viewers, don't think about this too much. Let's just go. And so they go to find the ship, right? Remember this?
Then some...
They're at the ship. They're doing their stuff. They arrive and they have a chase with some bad guys. They kill them. They're rocket pack stormtroopers.
That was quite fun, but it was quite CGI-y.
Yeah.
Although it was kind of fun, but...
It's quite funny when Chewbacca...
I quite like the machines they were on were quite sketchy. You know, they're like, you know,
like crap.
sketchy crap vehicles.
Yeah, with like dodgy engines.
That was quite fun.
Yeah.
But wasn't a classic, I wouldn't say.
Chewbacca shoots one of the stormtroopers, and he kind of his rocket pack gets damaged, and he flies through the air and goes, and then crashes into a mountain.
Bit shit.
And then they get trapped in quicksand.
Yeah, that bit was dodgy as well, because they fall through the quicksand into a cave. And it's like, if that's the case, how is the sand up there still there? Mm-hmm. Why isn't it all just falling into the cave?
Magic sand. Anyway, they fall into a cave.
They fall through the magic sand.
And they find the remains of the Jedi Hunter that they were searching for. They find his remains under there.
I didn't know who that was at the time. I was just thinking,
it's Jedi
I've
Hunter.
Obviously missed something here.
A Jedi Hunter who apparently had some intel about where the Sith planet could be found. Don't worry about it too much. A guy they needed to find to do stuff for the plot.
Then Chewie found that dagger thing.
So they find the dagger.
Oh, did you notice no one said get that? Chewie just like casually picked it up as they were all leaving. No one was like, well, we should definitely take this with us.
Well, hold on a minute.
They looked at it for a bit and were like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Then they just left. And Chewie was like, as an afterthought, yeah, I might take this with me.
Better carry that. But anyway, they find this dagger with the remains of this dude that they'd been searching for, that Luke had been searching for. And the dagger has some runes on it. And it's apparently in the ancient Sith language. C-3PO is a translator, as we know. He even speaks Bachi and the language of moisture evaporators.
But he's forbidden to translate Sith.
But he can't translate. His programming forbids him from translating Sith. So it
was so obvious they were going to have to take him apart and like rewire him and stuff. And it was just like...
So anyway, Poe thinks he knows someone on another planet who would be able to unlock the redacted memory of C-3PO in order to translate what's written on this dagger, because they think it might be, the Sith planet is just up the A1, turn left at the services, and they think it's going to help them find the wayfinder, which is then going to help them find the Emperor.
Yeah,
right?
That was one too many things.
It's horrible, isn't it, really? The horrible story.
I still enjoyed it all at the time because it's really nicely made. The characters are kind of cool and, it's quite good fun.
Off they go, but then there's a worm, right? Suddenly this sandworm appears. It's probably going to kill them or something. Rey goes over and it's wounded and she heals.
Yeah, that was bullshit as well.
Well, the reason they did that is so that they could then do it again later.
Yeah, they explained that she can heal things.
She can heal things with the Force.
Why the fuck would you heal that? You just kill it.
Because she's good. Because she's a good person. It's the right thing to do.
I guess it's the Force leading her into the right direction,
I suppose
or something.
So, yeah.
I mean, fair enough. It was quite nice that I don't think they have to kill everything. It just seemed a bit unlikely that would happen.
Han Solo would have just killed it.
Yeah.
But anyway, she healed its wounds with the Force. So she can do that. Don't know how she learnt that, but she can. Right, especially since her training doesn't seem to be going so well.
It could have come in handy in all the previous films if they'd have known that was possible.
Like, if she can do that and she's not even really
like an amateur.
Yeah,
she's an am. She's an am level. She's getting some like flow from some sponsors. She's got a free lightsaber. She gets a free pair of trainers every now and then, but she's not a proper pro.
Yeah, she's just learnt it from Wikipedia and like Princess Leia every now and then.
She's got a good Instagram,
Yeah. Yeah, but she doesn't actually have any credentials. It's true. She hasn't had any training.
She hasn't won any competitions yet.
But she's able to heal things with the Force, which is an unprecedented skill. But maybe it's because she's a Palpatine.
Yeah, a bit of dark side. She always helps.
A very, very powerful lineage there. So maybe that's it. It's just genetic level, just midichlorian count is very high.
All right, let's crack on.
Yes, okay. So anyway, they go to another...
What if I have a sweet?
Is it going to interfere with the listeners' enjoyment? Because you're going to be going...
You're going to be doing that, aren't you? And this is rustling now, which is probably really annoying.
Rustling is okay as long as it's just... like if it's important for the plot. It's like listeners are thinking, okay, there's rustling going on, which means that James is taking a sweet out of a wrapper. But if that rustling continues throughout...
Okay, how's this? I don't sound normal at all.
No, you sound okay. You shouldn't really eat a sweet while you're podcasting.
I'll put it back in its wrapper for a second.
Yeah.
For a minute or an hour.
All right, so Poe says, I know someone who can access the secret parts of his memory. Let's go to another planet. So off they go to... Wait a minute. Before that happens... Oh, God. So Rey, when they're searching the ship of this guy who had the dagger, they're searching his ship, and then Rey feels a bit force sensitive, and she goes, Kylo's nearby, and she goes down to challenge him. He appears in his TIE fighter thing. She jumps over. She does and what was Kylo's plan anyway? To just like run her over with the TIE fighter? Why was he racing at her?
He's got guns as well, hasn't he? Couldn't he have just
started shooting her? Did he not notice her? Was he just on his way? Oh shit! There's Rey, and then I don't know what was he doing anyway. But she jumped
over. Matrixy type crap.
It looked cool for the trailer. She flipped over the TIE fighter and chopped its wing off. It exploded, and he appeared. And then Finn was like, "Hey, Chewie's been kidnapped with the dagger on that ship." And Rey uses the Force to stop the ship from flying away. And Kylo also uses the Force to try and help the ship fly away. And they're struggling. They've kind of got a tug of war going on. And then Rey is trying really hard, and her anger comes through, and Force lightning comes out of her fingers, and the ship explodes. And for a moment, we're supposed to think that Chewie is being killed on board the ship. Did you think Chewie was dead?
Well, no.
Obviously not.
But... I didn't see any other flipping transports around.
No.
Like, it's later revealed, he must have been on another transport. Like, what fucking other transport? There was no other transport. And also, like, okay, she, through her own actions, killed about, let's say, 150 people.
On that ship?
On that transport that did blow up.
They were bad guys.
How were they?
Yeah, they were First Order dudes who were taking Chewie to the Death Star.
But weren't they taking other hostages or anything? They just took Chewie, did they?
Yeah, they didn't bother with everyone else. They got him. Well, we got a hairy guy. This'll do. You know, Chewie in Top Trumps is worth quite a lot. He's been in most of the films. Like, Chewie's much more valuable than fucking Poe and Finn. They're rubbish. Let's just have Chewie, and he's got the dagger.
He's taller, so you get more for your money.
More.
They get graded by weight.
More meat. Do you think that's what they do? They just eat the people they kidnap?
No, I think they just weigh them in. How much rebel scum did you get today? About 18 pounds. How much is a pound? 200 and 500 pounds. That's more like it.
So anyway, they think for a moment that Chewbacca's been killed in this accident. And, then Rey just goes with the other guys. They get in the ship and they fly away. And Kylo just sort of lets her go. He doesn't challenge her. I don't know why. Maybe he's surprised, but he shouldn't be surprised to see that she's got Force lightning coming out of her fingers. Anyway, they go to another planet, and Poe meets his ex-girlfriend, who helps him by introducing them to her little friend, who's like this little Muppet.
Yeah, he was wicked.
And he's able to access C-3PO's memory banks, but they have to wipe his active memory in the process.
Yeah, but they were like, can we back it up to R2? And it's like, R2's very, very inconsistent with things like that. It's like, let's just not bother then.
Did they say that?
They said R2's memory's really not up to the task these days. Very sketchy memory. There's no guarantee. And they kind of went, sod it then.
Okay.
And then later it turned out they had.
So, wait, no.
That's what I got it.
Okay, anyway, whatever.
It's like, is it worth backing up? How long will it take? About 25 minutes.
Fuck it. So, anyway, so C-3PO lost all his memory, but they got the translation of the Sith runes, so they know now that the Wayfinder, the Sith GPS, is at this particular location on a moon of Endor. Right?
God.
So they have to go there. But in the meantime, by the way, Kylo and Rey have sort of been chatting via Skype again. And Kylo's...
And they can also bring things into the scene that are next to them.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that.
He snatched some beads off her or something.
Yeah, they kind of touch through the Force. But that's because they're a dias in the Force, a dias in the Force.
Well, there is a theory that, what is it about two things being in the same place at the same time? It's like a Einstein theory or something, or is it
probably
Stephen Hawking?
It's probably some theory.
Some impossible situation in science where things exist in two places at the same time.
Is it like Schrodinger's cat, something like that?
No, nothing like that.
Quantum theory is when a particle can exist in two places at the same time.
That.
Yeah. But this is the opposite of that. It's like two things can exist in one place at the same time.
So do you think they're flicking back between locations?
Somehow the Force, there's a link between the two of them.
Because it was spinning around, the room was spinning around at one point, and 1 minute they were in his room, and the other minute they were in her room.
Yeah. Stuff like that. But
shit like that.
Let's just say that they are connected.
I think I'm overthinking it.
They're connected by the Force. They are a unique...
But why?
Because... she's Palpatine's granddaughter, and he's Darth Vader's grandson.
And is Darth Vader related to Palpatine?
No.
Doesn't really add up.
I know it doesn't, but it's just, again, the plot moves so quickly you don't really think about it at the time.
No, I didn't really question any of this at the time. I was just watching it like,
wow, this is cool. Pew, pew, pew. So 3PO tells them where they have to go next. It's like, in a computer game. Level 4, you've got to do this. Okay. And then, but also the joke is that he's lost his memory and he's like, I am C-3PO, human cyborg relations. Oh, nice to meet you. What's your name? You're R2-D2. Oh, I'm meeting you for the first time. Ha, ha, ha. Right?
Didn't see that one coming.
There's lots of that. Oh, my first ever space battle. And the audience is thinking, actually, it's not, though, is it? Because you've been in lots of space battles before. This is funny. Then they go... So, yeah. Poe's girlfriend, who's got... Do I want a beer? You don't need to whisper that.
Sorry to interrupt. I thought I might mime it so you didn't stop your sentence, but that would have been quite impressive if you could have lip-read.
James
replied and carried on talking all at the same time.
James just turned to me and mouthed, which is when you say things without actually speaking, but your mouth moves. He mouthed, "Do you want a beer?"
In mid-sentence.
And I went, okay, so what's going to happen now is James is going to go and get a beer, and I'm going to have to keep talking. Let's see if I can summarise the entire plot in the time that he's gone. I hope you, listeners, I really hope that you're okay and that you're enjoying this. This is very rambly, but we always say that, don't we? I suppose if you've listened this far, then it's probably okay, isn't it? I probably don't need to worry. So, all right. So anyway, Poe's ex-girlfriend, who for some reason is always wearing a helmet. I don't know why. Why is she wearing that helmet? All the others don't need a helmet. It's not like a breathing apparatus. Why is that? Why does Poe's ex-girlfriend...
Off later as well.
No, she doesn't. She just the eyes. Why is she always wearing that helmet?
Because it looks cool.
Because it looks cool. Okay, that'll do. And so they have a chat and stuff, and she says, "Oh yeah, this is like I've got one ticket out of here or something." Like her only hope to escape the crap life that she's been leading, like hiding from the bad guys, is this little Imperial token, which is going to give her an escape route out of...
It's kind of like a digital visa.
Yeah, kind of like a visa to get out sort of thing. And it means everything to her. And she just gives it to him. She's like, oh, fuck it, just have that. That'll do it.
Yeah, and they obviously had some sort of history, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, why would she give her ex-boyfriend, who was probably a dick, a free... Oh.
Yeah, I don't know why she did that. And then at the end of the film, she doesn't even want to be with him anyway. She doesn't even want to shag him at the end. So why did she... I don't know. Because she's trying to help the Resistance, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, then they have to go to one of the moons of Endor. So it turns out Endor is a planet, and... The who are they?
So when we used to say Ewok land was Endor, it wasn't quite right. It was the moon off Endor.
It's the forest moon of Endor.
Correct. Yes,
not a moon forest of Endor. Remember we had that before. The moon forest of Endor. Do you remember? It's like a forest.
What, forest of moons.
It's like a forest, but instead of trees, it's moons. That's a moon forest. But no, this is the forest moon of Endor, right? So there's another planet, another moon. It's not the same one as the... what were those little creatures, the teddy bears? What were they called?
Ewoks.
It's not Ewok land. It's another planet. I don't know.
One. Yeah, I got it. I got that.
And what do they discover there on this planet? Come on. Big thing in the water.
Oh, that bit was good. Yeah,
right.
I like that bit. The big Death Star, remains of the Death Star, that was all rusting in this huge sea.
Remains of the second Death Star.
Yeah.
Okay.
Death Star 2.0.
So apparently then, this Death Star blew up.
Into a million little glittering sparks.
At the end of Return of the Jedi, it blew up. But, yeah, it looked like it just turned into millions of little sparks. And a big...
Seems the framework fell to the next planet's surface.
Actually,
probably ruining the ecosystem
It
completely.
landed on a planet, yeah.
Probably destroyed all life on that planet.
Yeah, probably.
And that was the rebels' fault.
Yeah, bit of collateral damage.
Hey.
Anyway, it's a big universe. And so it turns out, okay, they use the dagger. The dagger works as like a little... Well, can you explain what happens with the dagger there?
You put it up to the horizon, and a little dial shows you where it is, although it didn't really, because there was loads of holes on that dial thing that they pulled out, and it wasn't clear how that showed you where it was. And also, you'd have to be standing in exactly the same spot as the thing was made from, exactly, for that to work. And also, what about like the corrosive nature of rusting metal?
Surely the
bits would fall off over time, and the kind of silhouette of it would change.
Exactly.
So it's bollocks.
But anyway, quite good bollocks. Really good bollocks.
Really photogenic bollocks.
That's right. Really, yeah.
All right, I think we can leave it there.
Shiny bollocks. Anyway, so...
but I did like the look of that crushed up Death Star all in huge waves.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, whoa. And I wasn't really thinking about the details of it, but it's quite a cool image.
Yeah, you imagine like...
And that's what this one was all about, just cool scenes and stuff.
Evil lobsters and crabs and fish.
I didn't see any of them.
No barnacles or crustaceans.
Because it's evil.
So,
barnacles don't like evil things. Very good taste, barnacles.
No barnacles grew on the remains of the Death Star just because the barnacles like, hey, look. Oh, no.
No.
So no mollusks.
You tried that new Death Star? Oh, no, it's a bit evil for me.
Or any like mussels that would grow on it. Wouldn't
shellfish, anything like that.
They'd give you food poisoning,
Give it a wide berth.
Yeah. So Rey decides, right, okay, I'm going to go out onto the Death Star and find this other Sith GPS. So she goes out onto it. Meanwhile, Kylo Ren is following somehow. The others are doing something with horses, right? There's horses and stuff.
Yeah.
And the others are there. And she goes out onto it. She's jumping around inside like she used to do when she was a scavenger, jumping around inside and stuff.
Yeah. And playing the video game level, the seventh video game level.
Right, the platform bit.
Yeah.
And she finds the throne room from Return of the Jedi. That was quite nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, I kind of like those bits. Like, I've been here before. I've been in this room before.
Yeah. It's all broken and like all kind of sea salty.
No barnacles, though.
No barnacles or lobsters,
no.
Unfortunately. Expected some sort of evil crab. That would have been good. Instead of Palpatine,
red-eyed crab.
Instead of Palpatine, it should have been a massive black evil crab. Oh God! And she's like,
"What the fuck? I did not see this coming."
Red eyes, force lightning, mandibles.
This is out of left field. Where did this come from?
Kills it with a lightsaber straight through the top of its dome-like head. Level 5 complete. You know,
crab level. Have you got to the crab level yet? I was on that for ages.
But so she goes in, and a door opens, and she goes in, and there it is. The Sith GPS is just there, and she takes it.
Yeah, a door opens, fully functioning door. Mm-hmm. Like the electrics still work.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Anyway,
I mean, is that Force stuff as well? Is that spooky stuff?
It's a Force door. It just opens just when it's a Force sensitive door. when it senses the presence of someone, it just opens like that. And it makes that noise when it opens.
Very good.
And so she finds the GPS thing. She picks it up and then immediately, it's a bit. She has like a little wobble, doesn't she? Because she gets a dark vision of like a sexier version of her, of herself.
Oh yeah, I quite like that bit.
So,
sorry.
Can you explain what happened?
No, not really.
Oh, come on.
She saw a vision of herself as an evil Sith.
Yeah.
Basically.
Because she's getting lots of visions and things are not going that great for her. She's getting premonitions of herself turning evil and sitting on the Sith throne with Kylo Ren. She's got premonitions of being a bad guy, of turning to the dark side. Her anger, she's got anger management issues a little bit when she's fighting. Force lightning just emanating from her fingers and stuff like that. I think we've missed a bit where they go and rescue Chewie on a spaceship. Right? I think we missed that bit. But they go running through some corridors and kill some people.
Yeah, that bit was all right. Although you're still looking at the stormtroopers thinking they are crap, aren't they?
Yeah, they can't shoot.
Like just crackling, rattling around the place and like clunking onto the floor.
Very shiny corridors, very slippery, I would have thought.
Yeah, and it looks like they can't see anything.
They probably can't.
Like in the first few films, they really looks like they don't really know where they're going.
Yeah, and so anyway, she has a vision of herself and she fights with herself briefly and then the vision goes away and she drops the GPS and Kylo Ren picks it up and then they have a big battle. And I like this bit. They have a big battle and they're fighting and big waves are crashing. They're flipping over the waves. It felt a bit Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon for a moment when they were flying through the air and stuff. And then they fight. And at that point, Princess Leia, back at the Rebel base, Princess Leia, General
I thought CGI Leia looked amazing.
Yeah, so the thing...
Was that all CGI?
No, so the thing is...
Right, that's why it looked good.
They used outtakes, I think from The Force Awakens, clips of Carrie Fisher and dialogue that they hadn't used, and they somehow engineered the script so that her lines would make sense.
Well, it looked much better than the CGI version.
Yeah, I mean, doing a CGI version of Carrie Fisher would have been just bad taste. And she'd said anyway, like, you know, you better not fucking make me a CGI character or something. She'd
really, just dig up all my outtakes from the last 10 years and use them instead.
No, but she had said that she didn't want them to CGI her after her death.
Right.
So I think they did a pretty good job.
No, it's fine. I like those bits.
Yeah.
I honestly was trying to work out if it was CGI or not most of the time.
Yeah. I think her body was CGI sometimes, but her face wasn't. Stuff like that, and body doubles and things. But anyway, so while Kylo and Rey are fighting on the remains of the second Death Star, Princess Leia senses what's going on, and she lies down in bed because she's probably dying. I don't know why. But she uses the Force to connect with her son, Ben, or Kylo, and he's suddenly distracted by it. She reaches out to him, and at this point, Rey... And he's been beating Rey. Like, Rey's getting beaten by him. He keeps using the Force.
Is that when she sort of kills him?
Well, yeah, because he's distracted by his mum, kind of calling him like, "Mum, what is it? I'm in the middle of something," and
she does him with his own lightsaber,
and she stabs him with his own lightsaber, impales him with it.
Yeah, bit.
And then that changes everything because, like, when he dies, Leia dies at that point, and it's sort of. He kind of comes back to the good side, like when she uses all her remaining life force to connect with him and sort of reach out to him and bring him back to the light. And so Rey then has a change of heart, and she repairs his wound.
But it would be good if they're going to say that's part of it, she'd have to lose something of herself significant to do that.
What
not just to feel a bit tired for 10 minutes. Like if her hair went grey and she'd obviously given up something.
Well, that happens at the end of the film a bit, doesn't it? Like, but she doesn't. He's not dead. He's dying.
No, he's not dead, but it's quite it's a fatal wound, I'd say.
Yeah,
he's going to die.
You're right. It should have aged her or something.
I mean, if they're going to do that, make it count or make it feel like it's actually something that's real rather than...
It should have weakened Rey to save Kylo.
Would have given me a bit more authenticity.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous, because that's a...
well, Star Wars.
Star Wars, yes. It's ridiculous.
It's shiny bollocks, as we've already established. So anyway, Rey she leaves with her mates, I suppose, to try and find the Emperor then. And Kylo is left standing on the remains of the Death Star with the waves crashing. And he's lost his mother, and he's kind of suddenly everything's changed for him, and then he gets a vision of his dad. So Han Solo comes to him as a dream.
I'm sure we've missed out loads of stuff in the middle.
It doesn't matter. I think it's okay.
We're trying to get through the plot.
Yeah. Because I remember I said I'd try and get through the plot.
All right.
And he says basically, "Hey son, blah blah blah. Hey, you're good again." You know, they have. It's like the meeting they had on the bridge in episode 7 when he killed him, but instead of it going wrong, it goes right. And Kylo throws away his lightsaber, and he's cured. He's good again. And he goes and follows Rey in order to probably help her fight the Emperor. Meanwhile, the rebels have discovered, Rey has discovered where the Emperor's planet is, and she's given the details to the rest of the rebellion, and they're preparing to attack the fleet of Star Destroyers. And that is basically like Star Wars Episode 4, Star Wars Episode 6. A band of plucky rebels are going to fight against a huge army and
take out a big gun.
It's like, if we can just destroy this antenna, then we can bring them all down. And it's really flimsy. I don't care about the space battle.
We
really
haven't mentioned Richard E. Grant as well.
Yeah, Richard E. Grant, who played Withnail in Withnail and I, is in it as chief bad guy number 1.
He's brilliant in Withnail and I. He's brilliant in How to Get Ahead in Advertising,
mm-hmm.
which I recommend everyone watches. In this, I feel like they didn't get enough Richard E. Grantiness out of him, or maybe they didn't want to.
He needs to be a bit more hysterical.
Yeah, or a little bit more
highly strung,
twitchy, on edge.
He's very controlled in the film. He was just
controlled, standard, evil. Boring evil.
Yeah.
I wanted to see a bit more eccentricity coming out somehow.
Yeah.
And maybe pretending to keep it together, but secretly not. Mm-hmm. Or, maintaining he's called General Pride.
Yeah.
So you'd think he'd have some sort of arc. Pride comes before a fall.
Mm.
I really expected it to be honest, I expected it to have a tiny little reference to Withnail and I in there for the geeks out there.
Like, well, the finest
even
wines.
If it's just a little look or just a little, just a tiny little reference to Withnail, and it didn't have anything anywhere near that.
We want the finest Star Destroyers available to humanity. We want them here and we want them now. Something like that. So Rey goes to the Emperor, and the Emperor reveals his plan to her, which is, okay, you're going to kill me in revenge because you hate me. So the story is that she is actually his granddaughter. Yeah. What was your response to finding out that when Kylo said to her, you're his granddaughter?
I think I laughed.
Really? When I saw it for the first time, there was a guy behind me who went, really? In the cinema. I saw it in France, and there was a guy who said that in English. Really? Like that. I don't mind that. I don't mind
it. I'm past caring, to be honest.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't really care. So what happened was...
Other bit
hold on a minute.
Because in the cinema I laughed out loud at one point.
There's a few things that made me laugh out loud. But
the ridiculous things.
Not laughing... I was laughing with the film. I mean, there were some moments of comedy that made me laugh a bit, like a couple of things that C-3PO said and some other stuff that I did laugh at. So I did enjoy it. I definitely enjoyed it.
But there was a couple of bits I laughed at it as well.
Yeah, true. I can't remember what they were. So she is his granddaughter, right? And what happened was, oh God! So Palpatine's son or daughter, I think son, got together with someone else and had a child, Rey, And they, for some reason, were just nice, normal people. I mean, would you be normal if Emperor Palpatine was your just dad? No. But anyway, they were normal people. And they decided to put Rey on this planet, Jakku, where we see her in the first film, in order to protect her from the Emperor. Because the Emperor wanted to get her, because apparently she was Force sensitive. Why her parent wasn't Force sensitive, we don't know. But anyway, there it was. So they put her on another planet to protect her. As if he can't just sense her in the Force. Because he's powerful enough to... make Star Destroyers out the ground and do all the other things he does, but he can't just sense where his granddaughter is. Yeah, sure. He can make, clone Snokes and use them as puppets and stuff, but he can't, And anyway, so... she's got extra special Force abilities because she's his granddaughter. And so he says, look, you hate me, so you've got to kill me. And when you do that, when you use all your anger to take revenge and kill me, my Force essence will pass into you. Now, why did he tell her that? Why did he just not say, oh, I'm a weak man? And, why didn't he just make it easy for her to kill him? Why did he explain his plan to her? He should have just let her kill him.
He could have started a sort of half-assed attack. And then stopped.
I'm going to get you. Well, he shouldn't have done that.
Now, become me.
Now you become me. He shouldn't have told her. Because
it would have been so easy. He's supposed to be like this diabolical leader of the evil world.
So it's very Saturday morning cartoony kind of, basically characters explaining the plot to each other. A lot of plot explaining. We got to go here to do this. And
why? But didn't we do that last time? Yeah, but we're doing it again.
Yeah, exactly. And the Emperor's like, I will transfer my Force essence to you when you kill me. And she's like, well, I'm not going to kill you then. You shouldn't have told me that.
No, I will never kill you.
Damn.
Okay. Shit.
Damn it. Why did I tell you? Just forget that I said that.
10 minutes ago, she was gung-ho to get him.
Yeah. Yeah, but... And oh god, Kylo comes to save her. He ends up meeting up with the Knights of Ren, who were completely useless and didn't do anything except walk through corridors the entire film. And then they fight against him, and he kills them all. But it's tough. They beat him up a bit. He goes to save Rey, and then the Emperor's like, well, wait a minute, the two of you together are fucking awesome. And so I'm just going to suck the Force power from the two of you. Why can't he just suck the Force power from one of them? I don't know. But when they're together, he can suck the Force power away from them. And when he does that, he is healed and he's back to his old self.
It's getting a bit confusing. There used to be, there was just one lot of evil guys.
Yeah.
And now there's two lots of evil guys who are in competition with each other.
And so when the two of them are together, he decides he's going to suck all their Force power away. And apparently he succeeds, right? Because they both fall to the ground, and he's back to his old self again. His eyes are glowing, and his robes are all nicely embroidered, and he's all back to himself again. And Kylo starts to wake up, and the Emperor's like, "Hey, I'm going to throw you down a hole, because that's what your granddad did to me. So you're going to fall like I fell once." So he chucks him down a hole. And then Rey wakes up, and that's it. She then says to all the Jedi, be with me, or come to me, or, come on, Jedi, now I need you. And then suddenly you hear the voices of Liam Neeson and Samuel L. Jackson. At this point, James is thinking,
I missed...
what? Samuel L. Jackson, he's in Star Wars. Yes,
Obi-Wan Kenobi, though. I kind of wished that there was a bit more of Obi-Wan in
me too.
films.
You like Obi-Wan?
I do like Obi-Wan.
Rey, stretch out with your feelings like Luke Skywalker did. That's what...
Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness.
Adds a certain gravitas to every role.
Yes, that's right. But no,
and he's also very good in all those Ealing comedies.
Yeah, but it's Ewan McGregor now, James.
But I want to hear old Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I want to hear this one that talks a bit like that and rewrote the script of the original Star Wars
Obi-Wan.
Because he found his lines to be quite shit.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Now, what was his name? George. Been reading through this script. Fantastic stuff, but it's a bit shit. What if I rewrite it?
Some of the lines to make
you shouldn't have him saying that. He sounds like an imbecile. Nobody talks like that, George.
Okay, sure thing. Sure thing.
Great to have you on board.
Sure thing, Alec. You just go right ahead, Alec.
Go right ahead, Alec. You're the authority in this room here,
George. George, I need some direction for my character in this scene. Could you tell me something? Sure. He's old. So Rey then, she's been waiting for ages for the Jedi to come and help her, and they're like at the last minute they do, and then you get Samuel L. Jackson and Liam Neeson and Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker as well. You hear kind of sort of saying, "Hey, we're with you now. Hey, come on, you can do it. Go for it. Go on."
So does that mean there is an afterlife then in Star Wars world?
Yeah. Well,
there is all frolicking around. They're all in a really good mood. They're all like, "Hey, we're in the afterlife now. Everything's fine." Like Han Solo's like, "Hey, son, it's all right. Everything's just fine.
I haven't bothered to shave or cut my hair because I'm
everything's just swell." Because they'd be like, "Just get your ass to the afterlife. It's fucking great.
Just die. It's fine. It's better. It's better when you're dead."
We're all glowing in blue here, Luke.
Look, it's blue glowy land. Everything's glowing blue, including beer. We've got blue glowing
you can
beer.
Drink all the blue milk you like, Luke.
But anyway, she musters up the strength and power of all the previous Jedis, and then she's like, "I am going to fuck you up, man." She doesn't say that. And he fires lightning at her, and she deflects it with her lightsaber. And 2
lightsabers.
And then, she manages to get the other lightsaber. I
was hoping to see a green lightsaber.
We did see a green lightsaber, but the reason she's got 2 is because we forgot that Rey goes to Acto, and she's basically gonna live like Luke Skywalker did. Because she's like, I'm bad. I'm going to become a bad guy, so I better go to Acto and just like be a hermit like Luke Skywalker. And she burns the spaceship that she used, and she's going to throw her lightsaber into the fire. And Luke Skywalker's Force Ghost catches it and says, he says basically, you shouldn't throw away a lightsaber, which is funny because that's exactly what he did.
And that's what all the fans hated.
When he threw the lightsaber away. It's like, no, you should treat this with respect,
funny.
Which is weird, because considering Ben threw a lightsaber into the sea only a few minutes before that, and it was an act of redemption. But anyway, you shouldn't throw your lightsaber away, he goes. And then he says, hey, all that stuff, I did loads of stuff I didn't tell you in the previous film. But I knew about Palpatine, didn't tell you about that. Anyway, it's a bit awkward. I'm dead now, so just go ahead and be good. All right, nice one there. Here, look, there's my X-wing. You can use that. Fan service. Whoa. And off she went. And so anyway, she had 2 lightsabers because we see in that part of the film that...
I think the X-wing should have been even more shredded than it was. Sorry, I might get interrupted.
No, it's all right. It doesn't matter.
Should have been even more like mouldy. Should have been covered in moss.
Mm-hmm.
And slime and
Moss
seaweed.
Eisley
Moss Eisley.
Named after the
sticky substance.
The force-sensitive moss which grows in the area. Anyway, but yeah, Rey had 2 lightsabers because it turned out that in the past, Luke was training Leia to be a Jedi secretly, and she had a lightsaber, and Luke then gives Leia's lightsaber to Rey as well, and he says to her, "Take both lightsabers with you to Exegol, because it might be useful for the plot."
Yeah, never know when you might need another one.
Yeah,
you got one, and then if that one doesn't work, you've got another one.
Which is like, again, you would have thought other Jedi in the past would have like, these lightsabers. You know how great they are. Have you thought about having 2? It's better. It's like twice as good as having 1. Maths. So anyway, she manages to get... She's deflecting the Emperor's lightning. She manages to get the other lightsaber, Leia's one, and uses 2. And the Emperor's like, what? 2? Ah!
And also, hadn't the Emperor just said, as you pointed out earlier, kill me and I will become powerful through you, or whatever.
I'll transfer.
So then, but she kind of does kill him, but by using his own lightning against him, so that doesn't count.
Yeah, I don't know why his force essence doesn't transfer into her when she kills him with 2 lightsabers and reflecting. I don't know why. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
His skin like flakes off.
Yeah, it's a kind of an Indiana Jones death.
It is,
isn't
totally like Nazis in when they look at the Ark.
Yeah, at the end of Indiana Jones, and they all kind of melt and blow up. So
brilliant scene that.
Yeah. So the Emperor's destroyed by Rey using the 2 lightsabers to deflect his lightning against him. Bit anticlimactic. I thought he was like, I've died before, I'm fine, death doesn't bother me. Oh, except that kind of death.
Yeah.
Who's
to say he's not like rebuilding right now?
Yeah. Well, I think that,
or cloning himself again or something.
They probably left it open so that they could bring him back if they want to. If the
fanboys request it, then we rewind.
The market research, James, shows that the audiences of the Rise of Skywalker really liked the Emperor Palpatine. We got some great graph readings, great heart rate sensors readings from the moments of Emperor Palpatine. So we're thinking of bringing him back into the franchise. Anyway. At this point, Kylo Ren crawls back from the big fall. He's got a broken leg and stuff. Because what was that, listeners? Was that an aeroplane crashing into the house? No, it was James sneezing. You're standing up.
I'm trying to get a tissue.
He's trying to get a tissue. Okay, so keep trying to explain it, Luke. God, I hope this is all right, listeners.
Keep going.
Indulge me. So Rey defeats the Emperor with the 2 lightsabers, but it kills her. She's on the floor dead. When the Emperor's being killed, she's dead on the floor, right?
Well,
she is. She's dead. She's lying there. She's not breathing. And Kylo Ren comes back. He's got a broken leg. He crawls towards her and he holds her in his arms and he uses his force power, his life force. He transfers it to her. Again, no one's ever done that before, but there it is. He transfers his life force to her and she comes back to life. And they look at each other. And I couldn't help but find that touching. Some people probably were like, ugh. But I didn't mind. I quite liked the moment where they looked in each other's eyes. And then he smiled for the first time in 3 films.
Yeah.
Nice little smile. And they had a little kiss.
Did they?
Yeah. You don't remember the kiss?
I remember that bit.
They had a little kiss. No tongues. It is a 12A certificate. So not gratuitous, but they had a kiss, and then he then, because he'd used his life force to bring her back, he then dies and becomes one with the Force. He disappears like a Jedi would, and so wow, that's it. Ben and Leia also becomes one with the Force. Her body disappears in bed at that time, so Leia and her son both kind of join with the Force together, which was quite sweet, I thought. And that's basically the end of the film. Of course, the good guys in space defeat the bad spaceships in the old-fashioned way, and everything's fine. And then we see,
Oh, and they ride out on horseback. They land infantry landers on the wing of a bloody Star Destroyer in space.
In order to destroy one little antenna, one little Wi-Fi dongle, which is broadcasting certain information to all of the other ships. Again, did you not learn from the other films? Don't make one little bit of technology, don't just have a USB stick plugged in, and if that gets destroyed, your whole system is fucked. Back it up into the cloud or something. Save your PowerPoint presentation onto the computer that you're using. Don't just have a little USB stick sticking out of the computer. And that's the end of the film. Now
we got through the plot in just under the time of the actual film itself.
I'm still
okay. Let's go through some stuff,
James. I still feel the same as I did before we did this. I still feel bad because I just don't know.
Well, don't worry. It's not up to you to explain the plot. I mean, Mark Kermode doesn't really explain the plot, does he?
But yeah, I know.
He just tells you what he thinks about it.
I know, but we're not Mark Kermode. I don't know.
Ray Skywalker. It says at the end as well.
Yeah, there's a scene at the end.
My name's Ray. Ray Skywalker. Is it? So you made that official? Have you changed your name by deed poll? You can't just go around calling yourself Skywalker, mate.
Well, I think Luke and Leia are okay with it.
They're cool with it.
Their Force ghosts are that's fine. No problem.
I've seen one of the other notes we've got here. Is Luke Skywalker a virgin?
Right. So
we got into that because if Rey is Palpatine's granddaughter, that means Palpatine has shagged a few times.
First of all, right, so...
And I couldn't imagine that, but Luke said, no, he used to be young once. He was quite dashing in his day.
Wait, so, is Luke Skywalker a virgin? The reason that we wrote that down is because there was lots of speculation about whether Rey was Luke's daughter or something. Okay?
Yeah.
And she's not. So, is Luke Skywalker a virgin? And based on just the films that we've seen, because there are books and other bits of canon that we don't know about, then he is, yeah. But Jedi
Unless, he got his end away after A New Hope and we didn't find out about it. You would think he would, the homecoming hero.
I think we need a Star Wars story. Skywalker's end.
Skywalker, yeah.
The end of Skywalker, and we mean the end of Skywalker.
Very funny.
So
we don't know. We need an answer to that question.
But James, I think the Jedi are all virgins because they all have to take a vow of celibacy.
No, they don't.
I think they do.
Since when?
Since Star Wars.
It's not mentioned in the films.
I think it is a little bit.
No, it isn't.
Well, it is because Anakin, remember, in episode 2, he's with Natalie Portman, and it's all very, very dodgy because he's in love with her, and his Jedi...
Oh, yeah, you can't have sex because
you can't have sex.
You might get carried away with the Force.
And what would happen? What happens when a Force-sensitive Jedi has an orgasm? Force lightning and stuff? I don't know what would happen, but maybe it could be dangerous. I don't know.
Poor guys.
Yeah, we don't know what happens.
No, but they can't, because surely some Jedi has had children. Think through the lineage. You know this better than I do.
Well, let's see. Well, the only person we know is Vader.
Is Leia a Jedi?
Yes. Well, we don't know. But all we know is that she got some training, but I don't know if she's an actual official Jedi. But remember, Luke kind of rejected the Jedi ways, didn't he? So maybe he trained her in the Force without her becoming a Jedi. He just sort of did a bit of freelance, non-official Jedi training.
Off the books.
Yeah. So Leia had Ben, but she wasn't officially a Jedi.
All right. Well, I think Luke Skywalker is a virgin.
I think he is. But whereas Emperor Palpatine certainly is not. He had a child, at least one child. That means... So he had sex with someone, but who would consent to have sex with Palpatine?
Well, he was rich and very, very, powerful. Still is.
That does have a certain effect on some women, doesn't it? Some women do get attracted by power and wealth. It has to be said. I mean, and some men as well, I'm sure. So who consented to have sex with Palpatine and when is But as we said before in our conversation after the film, I just thought, well, if Jerry Hall married Rupert Murdoch, then I suppose that Senator Palpatine could also have got laid. But
I think that's a fair point.
But that listeners would have to know who both Jerry Hall and Rupert Murdoch are. But I'll let them Google it. Palpatine in his younger days didn't look as haggard and
he wasn't quite so obviously evil.
No, he looked like a normal guy.
A normal evil-ish politician, but not over the line evil.
I'm just thinking when. So Rey's parents probably were about 30. Let's say 25 when they had Rey. So 25 years before Rey. Rey is what, about 25 in this film? So 50 years previous. We're talking 50 years. That is just before. No, I think he was all ugly and monsterish at that time.
Really? You've done the... Because I
just quickly in my head, I think I've worked out that Palpatine must have conceived... You're getting... Listeners... That was not a monster from Star Wars. You're hearing James sniffing and sneezing and coughing.
You can edit that.
I can't edit you blowing your nose in the middle of my sentence. I can't edit that out. I'll just have to apologise for it and explain it. You're getting actual, realistic sound effects in this episode, listeners. James has hay fever. He always has allergies when he comes up here to my parents' place, because here they have actual air with oxygen in it. And James, having lived in London for many years, isn't used to these conditions, and his body just reacts badly to it. So, yeah, I don't know how we explain the fact that... There we go again. In some cultures, that is considered to be very, very rude. Did you know that?
I think in this culture it is as well.
Not just... In this culture, it's considered to be a little bit impolite, but in some cultures, it's like... A death on your, a pox on your family.
Well, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm really sorry. Please edit it out.
I can't, because you did it in mid-sentence. So anyway, yeah. Is Luke Skywalker a virgin? Yes. Is Palpatine a virgin? No. And we don't know how that happened. More and more droids in this film. Just constantly new droids being...
Another new droid.
That little duck thing.
Those lunchboxes aren't going to sell themselves.
That's right. And so,
what do they call him? Conehead.
I don't know.
I think that's a bit offensive to droids, to cone-headed people.
Maybe.
But that was like another droid. You got C-3PO. You got R2. You got
BB-8.
8-ball, BB-8, and this new one. Can you remember what he was called?
Don't know. Duck guy.
Even smaller one again, and after that they're going to have a smaller one and a smaller one.
We're going to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and we're going to have baby R2-D2 next.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things blow up very easily in this film. Things blow up very, very easily, even in space. Like
things just touch other things and they explode.
They crumple and explode so easily. Everything's made of very explosive material.
Get more droids. Droids are a big security flaw. Mm-hmm. They can hack into anything. Where's the cyber security?
Yes. Okay. And I was going to... also, another fat guy dies.
Yeah, when that guy turned up, I was like, okay.
Wait.
In the original Star Wars,
Explain.
There's a guy called Porkins.
Yeah.
Who dies first in the final attack on the Death Star, and he's a fat bloke. Okay,
he's a pilot.
He's a pilot of a X-wing fighter, and then in one of the later ones, another fat guy turns up. He also dies very quickly.
He's also a pilot who also dies.
And then in this one, a fat guy turned up, pilot, and I was thinking, I hope they make it so that he doesn't die really quickly, just so it's not a funny ha ha ha. We made the fat guy
died. Yeah.
And I was thinking it'd be really cool if they do that.
If they have the fat guy survive.
They have it survive and they kind of break the routine. Mm-hmm. And did they?
No.
Did they? Fuck. Fat guy dies and they show it in quite detail of his ship flying off the surface of another ship.
But that guy wasn't just a fat guy. He was also... I mean, I think that was a little Easter egg, a nod to the J.J. Abrams fans, because that guy, I think, was in Lost, and I think he's like a close personal friend of J.J. Abrams.
That makes it even worse.
Yeah.
In my book. I don't want any nudge, nudge, wink, wink stuff in my Star Wars film. Thank you very much.
But he's a character who's been in some of the other films before, so he's not just a little bit part fat guy in a cockpit who blows up. He's a character who's been established already.
Okay.
So that was like sad. It was supposed to be sad, that moment.
Just annoying.
I was just going to say, less is more in Star Wars, right? Less is more.
Yeah, the less plot there is, the better, I think. Like in the early ones, they've just got to get to somewhere to save someone. Mm-hmm. Like you've got to get on the Death Star and save thingy.
And the less they tell you, the better. Like, for example, in Episode 4, the original film... Luke Skywalker knows about the Force. It's very, very vague. There's not. It's basically just a force that binds.
More mysterious.
It binds the galaxy together. It's within you and without you. Blah blah blah. It's very mysterious, and there's not really much to be said about it. But as we learn more and more and more, the less good it gets. So it's the case of diminishing returns. The more they do, the less
interesting it is.
Yeah. And with this film, what they had to do was try and just fucking tie up all the loose ends in the plots. Just finish the story in a vaguely satisfying way without getting trapped by having to explain in any level of detail what the fuck was actually going on. And so that's why there are all these unanswered questions. I think they did actually a very good job of managing to avoid all the tricky little questions during the film, so that while you're watching it, you're like, wow, okay, whoa, that's funny, that was exciting, and what's going to happen? And then at the end, you're like, wait a minute, what? But I can't imagine how they could have done it any other way in this particular film, in the way that it had to end the whole storyline. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. It was good though. I enjoyed it. I mean, at the time, I was completely engaged.
Mm-hmm. And entertained.
I was happy to be in Star Wars world for a bit again.
Mm-hmm.
But then going through it now, it is all a bit stupid.
Of course, yeah, it's Star Wars. You can't expect it not to be stupid. I mean, for God's sake. Like, Jesus. You know, of course, there are many YouTube videos by angry
explaining
YouTubers.
all the problems with it.
Yeah, explaining how it's ruined everything and it's like the worst thing ever, and how, it's... people are just...
What about the Ewoks?
People are so...
The Ewoks were rubbish.
But don't you think people...
Jar Jar Binks made the Ewoks look like fucking Shaft. We've done that one before,
yeah.
haven't we?
Don't you think that people take it all a bit too seriously?
Yeah.
And they get a bit hysterical in the YouTube reviews about...
I don't watch them.
I don't like to watch them either, but they appear in my recommended videos all the time, and it's just like, why the Rise of Skywalker sucks, and it's... I don't know. There's a lot of hatred out there.
There is.
It's a pity, isn't it, really?
Bummer.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it too, even though it didn't make any sense, and it was totally stupid. But it's freaking Star Wars. What do you
remember
expect?
at the start, there's a girl kind of came out and said, okay, we're going to start the film now.
Yeah.
If you could all make sure your phones are away and on silent, and I will be checking in later to make sure no one's using their phone. Thank you. Enjoy the film. And someone went...
No, someone at the back of the room did an absolutely perfect Chewbacca. Kind of one of those.
And everyone in the cinema laughed.
Everyone pissed themselves. It was brilliant. Yeah, okay, listeners. Well, thank you so much.
Well, are we going to talk about where they can go next with it?
Well,
we talked about that earlier, didn't we?
I think that... I think in terms of like the Skywalker family story...
We want to see the Obi-Wan Kenobi story.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. In terms of the Skywalker family story and all that stuff, I think officially it's finished now and that's it. But there might be other feature films.
And also, is the Empire gone? Is it just going to be like side missions now, like spice smuggling missions?
I don't know. God knows. But what they might do is go back to previous times.
Not another bloody prequel.
Not prequels, because this storyline is now done. But they might go to the past, to other eras, and tell different stories.
They're origin stories.
They're not origin stories.
Don't get angry, Jesus H. Christ!
I'm trying to just get my point across. They're not origin stories. They'll do other films set in previous times, but they are separate from the Skywalker storyline. So that storyline is done, I think. But who knows? There's always a chance they'll bring it all back. But no, I think there's going to be other shit, like other little films and TV series. So apparently there is going to be a Kenobi TV series. We've talked about this several times before.
And you think it should be a Western?
Well, see, the thing is that The Mandalorian, which I haven't seen because it's on Disney Plus, and Disney Plus doesn't come out in France until March or something.
Would you get it just for that?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe you should mention Disney Plus again. They might send you a free sub.
So I might... What?
We're talking about The Mandalorian, where they're going to go next.
Yeah. Just a second. So The Mandalorian is that. It's a Western. Really? In the Star Wars universe. Cool. And it's got Werner Herzog in it.
But it's not the Obi-Wan story.
No.
Okay.
As far I don't know. Maybe they'll bring Obi-Wan into that. Who knows? But it looks good, and all the reports out there are that it's ace, and people keep writing to me and saying, hey, why don't you talk about The Mandalorian? I'm like, I haven't fucking seen it. People keep requesting episodes about The Mandalorian. So people probably listening to this.
Baby Yoda.
There will be people listening to this going, please don't talk about The Rise of Skywalker. It's shit. Talk about The Mandalorian instead. That's what they're thinking. And I haven't seen it, folks, okay? I haven't seen it yet, but I would love to see it, and I'm sure it's excellent. And no doubt I'll feel compelled to go on about it.
Can you get it on video?
Video? What is video?
I'm only joking.
I mean, I would like get it from dodgy torrenting websites and stuff.
Don't do that.
I don't know how to do that.
We don't endorse that.
I don't. I just no. So
piracy funds terrorism.
Is that right?
And it destroys the film industry.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Anyway, I'd love to watch The Mandalorian, and I'm sure I'll talk about it when I have seen it. Blah blah blah. But Kenobi thing, yeah, they should make it smaller. They need to make it. My point is, any future Star Wars stuff, it needs to be smaller scale stuff.
So your Kenobi story, it's called...
My Kenobi story is, the working title is Some Kind of Local Trouble.
Nice.
Which is a callback to when Obi-Wan says to Han Solo, we need your help to get off this spaceship, this
Sounds
system.
like it could be a
What is it, some kind of local trouble?
Sounds like it could be a kind of Columbo episode or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I can see that title coming up
Some
at the
kind of
start,
local
in the
trouble.
70s style-y.
That won't be the title because they don't do that in Star Wars. Some kind of is not something that would go into a Star Wars title. But that's the working title, Some Kind of Local Trouble. Okay. It's going to be called Kenobi or Obi-Wan or something like that. And it should be a much smaller scale thing. And I've talked to you about this before.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you do. It's basically Obi-Wan Kenobi is on Tatooine. He's trying to keep a low profile. He's keeping an eye on Luke Skywalker, but he can't help getting into local trouble with the local...
He just can't stop getting into scrapes with the local boys.
He's trying to keep a low profile, but the mafia on Tatooine and Mos Eisley are quite... they control everything.
Yeah.
And he can't, they come to visit him because they want him to pay tax, or, they come to visit him because they're like, hey, we need you to do us a favor. And they kind of sort of get him, the way the mafia kind of get you involved when you don't want to be, and they threaten you and stuff. And so he ends up doing a job for them and he doesn't want to do it. And then in the middle of the job, his lightsaber comes out and he ends up killing one of the mafia guys in order to save someone. And he's like, fuck, I didn't want to do this. It's like, this is not what I wanted. I need to just keep my head down and watch Luke Skywalker. And then the mafia boss, played by, I don't know, Christopher Walken, comes by and he's like, I heard you
took out one of my guys.
You took out one of my guys, and, he's kind of... You can imagine Christopher Walken walking around inside Obi-Wan's hut.
Yeah.
Like, you're a simple guy. I get it. But I heard some things. You gotta... I heard some...
You got a lightsaber. You wouldn't say it normally.
No, you'd say, I heard my guys are telling me you're using a laser sword. What's a guy like you doing with a laser sword? That's what I'm thinking. And then it's like very tense. And then basically Obi-Wan gets involved in some kind of local trouble. But it's a very small story.
I like it. I think I want to see this film.
Yeah.
Fan fiction.
That's what they should do. They should make it smaller, not bigger. Because these Skywalker films have been big. It's like the fate of the entire universe is at stake. No, make it small. The fate of your dog is at stake. Like John Wick.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all about getting revenge because his dog got killed. That should be like that. It should be like, all the dude ever wanted was his rug back. Like the Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
It should just be motivated by just one simple little thing, a very simple little local story, only involving a few little characters and not a big story tied in with the whole Skywalker narrative. It should just be little stories. I don't know what The Mandalorian is like, but I gather that it's a sort of a Western, basically, and that's good, isn't it?
I'll rate that.
I rate that too.
As a concept.
Yeah. So that's it. We've got to stop. Listeners, thank you for making it all the way this far. I hope you're doing okay and that you haven't become a skeleton.
I think you should call this episode A Jar of Snokes.
You think so? Something like that. I don't know what I'm going to call this episode. Bless you. Oh, God. I tell you what. If the Empire could harness the power of your sneezes, they could build a battle station, the likes of which had never been seen before.
I was thinking about, actually, someone recommended acupuncture for allergies.
Okay.
Which I totally don't believe in. 100%.
Acupuncture exists.
You know what I'm trying to say. Like, how can that help an allergy? But I might try it because it's quite bad, this allergy thing.
Would you let me do it? I'll stick some needles in your. Where shall I stick the needles? In your nose? God knows.
Just Google it first.
Listeners, if any of you know about acupuncture for allergies, write your comments in the comments section. Don't forget to smash that like button.
Oh, dear.
And thank you for listening all the way through to the end. James, do you have anything else to say to the people of the world before we finish?
No.
Okay, then. May the Force be with you, everyone. May
the Force be with you. Always.
If the Force, right?
Yeah.
Surrounds us and binds us, if the Force is everywhere all the time, always with us. If it's true when they say that, remember, the Force will be with you always, right? If the Force will be with you always, why do they have to say, may the Force be with you? It's like, you didn't need to say that. It is with me always. So it's like, may the Force be with you. Yeah, that's fine. It will be. It's always with me. It's everywhere all the time. Just a question. The Force is strong in my family.
My father has it. My sister has it.
You have that power too.
No, we were saying that the other day when he's doing that, heavily implying, my father has it. My sister has it. Yeah.
You mean when Luke Skywalker is talking to Princess Leia in Return of the Jedi, she doesn't know that she's his brother, and he's heavily hinting to her. It's like, Leia, and she's like, Luke, what is it? What is it? And it's a really big thing. It's like, what is it? Okay, look, now, right. The Force is very strong in my family. She's like, my father has it. It's like, yeah, Vader, right? Yeah, exactly. My father has it. I have it. Yeah, of course you do. You're a Jedi. It's like, my sister has it too. Wink, 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 pointing at her. And she's like, I don't follow. What are you trying to say? Okay, let's start this again. The Force is very strong in my family. Okay. My father has it, right? Darth Vader. We've established. I have it. Right. You're a Jedi. Yeah, of course. My sister has it too. No?
Don't see any other women in the room.
Are there any other women on this planet? Do you think that... And she's like, oh, you've got a sister? He's like, yeah.
I'll give up.
You're my sister. She's like, bollocks. And then after a couple of weeks, she's like, all right, maybe I am your sister. And he's like, too late now. I've already killed Darth Vader and blah, blah, blah. Catch up. Anyway, time to end the episode. Thank you so much for listening. May the Force be with you. May the Force be with you.
The Force will be with you. Always. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.
I wandered into your wonderland.
So there you go. Congratulations for listening all the way to the end of this. If you like this sort of thing, like reviewing movies with some fun along the way, then you might like to check my review of Avengers Endgame, which you can find in the LEP app, in the app-only episodes category. Also, in the app-only episodes category in the app, you will find a full DVD commentary from James and me for Star Wars Episode 4. So if you'd like to sit down and watch Star Wars Episode 4 and stick on the audio commentary and listen to James and me rambling on and doing more of the same kind of stuff you got in this episode, then check it out. It's in the Luke's English podcast app in the app-only episodes category. Apologies again for James's sneezing and blowing of his nose. I say that just because I know that is a sensitive issue in some cultures. But I think that we can let him off because he has such bad allergies. I should say thanks again to James for taking part in this episode. I should do that. I should say that. And I might. In fact, I will. Thanks again to James for this episode, to Dad for letting us use his office, for the local Sainsbury's for providing us with some local beer, and also for our mum for providing us with food and other stuff like that. But that's almost it for this episode. I wonder if you can hear my washing machine in the background. Always getting involved in the podcast, the washing machine. It always has been. Different washing machines in different flats, but it always manages to get in there. There you go, a little cameo appearance from my washing machine. But that's almost it for this episode. Next up on the podcast, we have a few more episodes featuring members of my family. I'll be speaking to James again, then my dad, and then my mum. They're all getting their own episodes. And the theme of this little series is going to be quintessentially British things. And I asked everyone to think of a few things that they thought were typically British or that they liked about the UK. So prepare for some chat about things like pop culture, literature, theatre, TV shows, British landscapes, places and history. They're good episodes and I expect that you'll enjoy them very much. But for now, it's just time to say goodbye. Bye, 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 bye. Thanks for listening to Luke's English podcast. For more information, visit teacherluke.co.uk.